And so God looked down from heaven and he heard their cries. And he said, you know what? I'm going to send you a rescuer. And his name is going to be Moses. And I'm going to set him apart from a little baby. I'm going to protect him in that little ark. He's going to grow up and he's going to help you. And I'm going to use him to get you out of Egypt back to the land of Israel where you should be at. And so we're going to pick up our story from that point on. So God told Moses, Moses, I want you to go tell Pharaoh to let my people go. He said, but I want you to tell him this. Israel is my firstborn son. That's what God said. Israel is my firstborn son. He said, I'm going to give you 10 chances to let my people go. If you don't let him go in 10 chances, I'm going to take your firstborn son. And so that's what God told him. So Moses did, and he went to Pharaoh, and he said, Pharaoh, the God of Israel says to let his people go. And that he's going to give you 10 chances. If you don't listen, at the end of those 10 chances, he's going to take your firstborn son. And Pharaoh looked at Moses and he said, ha, 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 who is this God of Israel? I don't know this God. I'm not going to let the people go. Actually, I'm going to make them work harder. And so that's what Pharaoh did. He told his people, make the Israelites work harder. Make it harder for them. And if they don't do the work, then I want you to hurt them. Oh, no. So then God told Moses, go back to Pharaoh, he said, and give him the warning number 1. So Moses goes to Pharaoh and he said, Pharaoh, God said, let my people go. No, I won't let your people go. Okay, warning number 1. All the water of the Nile River, every pond, every bucket, every water in your house is going to be turned to blood. And Pharaoh goes, oh, please, I don't believe that. Give me a glass of water, he told his servant. And so he goes to get a fresh glass of water and, blood. The water of all of Egypt had turned to blood. It was horrible. But guess what? Pharaoh hardened his heart. It said his heart was like a stone. He hardened his heart. He said, I will not let your people go. Dig new wells. And so he did not let the people go. So the next day, God said, Pharaoh, Moses, go back to Pharaoh and give him warning number 2. Pharaoh, God said, let my people go. If you don't, he said, there's going to be frogs everywhere. You're going to wake up tomorrow and frogs are going to be everywhere. And Pharaoh said, I will not let the people go. Well, when he woke up in the morning, what was in his bed? Frogs! No. Frogs were in Pharaoh's bed. They were in his hair. They were in his soup. They were everywhere. No. All throughout Egypt, people had piles and piles of frogs everywhere. And so the people cried out, get rid of these frogs. So Pharaoh told Moses, all right, I'll let your people go. Just get rid of the frogs. So Moses prayed to God, God, please get rid of the frogs. God did it. But then Pharaoh's heart got hard again. Remember, it's like a stone. And so he said, I changed my mind. I will not let your people go. Uh-oh. Well, then it was plague number 3. And this was going to be little bugs, little lice. So the next morning when Pharaoh woke up, he had little bugs all in his hair. Everybody had bugs in their hair. Everybody had bugs everywhere. And they were little, yucky little lice. And it was all throughout Egypt. And so Pharaoh called Moses, Moses, come back. I can't stand, my hair is so itchy. Tell these lice to be gone. And so Moses said, okay, I'll pray that the lice be gone. But you got to let God's people go. I'll let him go. And so Moses prayed and the lice were gone. But Pharaoh hardened his heart. And he said, I changed my mind. You cannot go. And so now he said, okay. And all of a sudden, there were flies everywhere. So the flies were flying. Oh, I do not like flies. There were flies in people's food. There were flies in people's noses. There were flies everywhere. Ew, yucky. It was disgusting. And so Pharaoh said, okay, I changed my mind. I'll let the people go. And so Moses prayed, okay, you better let the people go. But guess what? Pharaoh hardened his what? Heart. He hardened his heart. He changed his mind. He goes, I will not let the people go. I know. Oh my goodness. And so all of a sudden, this is what happened. He sent more plagues. All the animals of the whole of Egypt got sick. But God said, I'm going to separate my people and Egypt. And so, remember, all of God's people were the Israelites. And so all of the Israelites lived in a very special valley in Egypt that Joseph had set. And God said, I'm going to show the Egyptians who I am, that I am the God of Israel. And so all of God's animals, all of his people's animals, they were protected. They did not get sick. But all of Pharaoh's animals, they all got sick. But guess what? Pharaoh hardened his heart. He said, I will not let the people go. And then it said, okay, I'm going to send down boils. This was all these sores. Yucky sores broke out. But God said, I'm going to separate my people and Egypt. So boils broke out on all of the people. These are these big, yucky red sores. All of Egypt's people got big boils, and all of God's people were safe. No sicknesses. And Pharaoh said, I can't stand it. My skin is itching. I changed my mind. I will let the people go. So Moses said, okay, I'll pray that the boils go, but you've got to let the people go. And so he prayed. All the boils were gone. And Pharaoh said, I changed my mind. He changed his mind again. And so then God said, okay. So the next one was going to be hail. Hail, I don't know if you guys ever seen hail. It looks like ice and it comes down. And so hail landed all over Egypt like snow. Big balls of snow came down like fire. And then guess what happened next? Pharaoh did not let the people go. And then God said, okay, all of Egypt is going to go dark. And so God turned off the lights up for all Egypt. And all of Egypt went dark, except for the people of God. They were protected. And Pharaoh still said, I will not let the people go. So then it was the last chance. Chance number 10. Now remember, chance number 10 was God said, Israel is my firstborn. If you don't let my people go, I will take your firstborn. And so tomorrow we're going to find out about how the 10th plague, 10th warning, is when God had to take Pharaoh's son. So we'll learn about that tomorrow. Okay, guys?